Hello and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Morgan. I am known as the Emo Knitter on Instagram, and I am a knitter and crocheter living just outside of Seattle, Washington, where I am a labor and delivery nurse primarily. I also am now studying to become a certified personal trainer. I love knitting and reading in my off time, and I had a podcast quite a few years ago. I think it's been 2 or 3 years since my last video, and I have archived them. I kind of went through a lot of mental health stuff. I was having lots of panic attacks. Anyways, was not knitting for a while. Picked things up back this year, I think actually on New Year's, and have really fallen back in love with the craft. I've really enjoyed getting back into the swing of things and connecting with people on Instagram, and now watching the knitters that I know and love on YouTube through their podcasts. So I am hoping that you will enjoy watching me. Because it's been such a while, I am just going to share my most recent finished objects and then my current whips. I also did attend Flock Fiber Festival in Seattle a few weeks ago, and I thought about sharing my acquisitions from Flock, but a lot of them are already on my needles, and the rest of them I plan to knit with this fall. I am hoping to record a fall plans video for in the next few weeks, so you'll see all of it then. But for now, let's start with finished objects. I have my knitting journal here with me. I keep track of all of my details for knitted objects. What size I'm making, what yarn I'm making, who I'm making them for, did I hit gauge, and then any pattern notes. So it's been really fun. This pattern is by Lene Holm Samso. I probably butchered that, but it's called the Little Dahlia. And the pattern is available in many different options. There's a cardigan, a sweater, a short sleeve, and I believe a dress. I followed the pattern for the long sleeve sweater, but made it a short sleeve. In the pattern, the short sleeve has a ribbed underarm, and I just didn't love the look of that, so I split for sleeves as I would for a normal sweater, and then just did a few rows and knit the ribbing. It has some really, really beautiful lace detail in it. So this is the top. I knitted this for my friend who is going to be having a baby here in the next couple of weeks. She's expecting a girl. I love how this came out. The lacework is stunning. And then in the back, there's a little button closure. So I did an I-cord clasp there to go around the button. And I think she's going to love it. I knitted the size 3, which is 12 months, so it should fit her this time next year. I knitted this in Woolberry Fiber Co. The colorway is called Slow Fashion. And I knitted it in their berry sock, which is an 80% superwash BFL and 20% nylon. Took me just over a month to make. I did have to rip back the lace a couple of times. The stitch count just kept getting off, and I found it easier to just start over than to try and fix the lacework. So once I got that down, it was really smooth. It's knit in the round, after the lacework. So yeah, this was a super fun knit, and I love the way it came out. My next finished object was something for me. I went to Portland in July, I think, and while I was there, obviously, I stopped by Starlight Knitting Society and Ritual Dyes, and Ritual Dyes had just released their Undine DK, so I snagged some skeins of that. Here's the label. So I got the color Jewelweed, which is a bright fire truck red. It's a DK weight, it's 60-40, so 60% organic cotton and 40% linen. And I made the Cumulus Tee by Petite Knit. Ooh. I feel like this lighting is actually really doing this color justice. I recorded this podcast yesterday and the lighting was god-awful, so here we are doing it again. Please ignore the wrinkles. It's been sitting folded on my counter. I worked so hard to get this finished before flock so I could wear it to flock. I finished it the day before, like the morning before flock, and I wet blocked it and it was not dry in time for flock. I only went on Saturday, so I didn't get to wear it, but I am actually treating myself to another trip to Portland early November for Sacred Sheep, which is a fiber festival being put on by Ritual Dyes. It's like right before my birthday, so I thought that that would be fun. So I will definitely be wearing this on that trip. This tee is, I think the pattern is written for a fingering weight. So I kind of tweaked things in order to make it for a DK weight. I ended up going with a 3.5mm or US 4 needle, and I knitted a size 2, which is a small, so I sized it down. I typically am a size 3 in most patterns, I'll say. It has quite a bit of positive ease, but I really like it. It's like a really cozy, oversized t-shirt. I had gotten 4 skeins of this yarn and I used about 3.5. I had 47 grams left of the last skein. One thing I will say about this is it's beautiful and I love the color, but the color definitely bleeds. When I blocked it, the water turned bright red, and then the towels that I used to kind of like stomp the like excess water off also turned red. It washed out and everything was fine, but I definitely would not use this yarn in this particular colorway for color work if you plan to wet block it, because it will absolutely ruin your sweater. I was reading some reviews on Ravelry and it seems like that's the case for most people with just this color. So you might be safe with other colors, but I can't speak to that because I've only used this one. But I do love it. Okay, I have 2 more. All of these, again, were pretty recently finished. I have been working to perfect my sock pattern, sock recipe, I think people call it. When I first started knitting, I think I used a pattern that called for 2.75mm needles. I used 9-inch circulars and I just like have used 2.75 needles ever since. And the more I've been knitting lately, the more I'm like, these don't fit my foot great, and most patterns call for a 2.25mm. So I grabbed a pair of 2.25 9-inch circulars, Chiagoos obviously, because those are my favorites. And I just knitted a pair of vanilla socks and they fit my feet so much better. This yarn I got on a trip to Whidbey Island, just from a little yarn shop there. So it's a hand-painted yarn and the colorway is Lakeshore and it's gorgeous. So this is one of the socks. The way they came out, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So I do have a finished pair. There's 2 of them and they fit me so well. So now I'm knitting all of my socks using 2.25mm needles. Here is the yarn left over just in a cake. A good friend of mine, Brenna, I just taught her how to knit actually, and we've been knitting together and she loves this color. So I haven't weighed this leftover ball, but if I have extras, I am going to knit her a pair as well because she really loved it. Okay, my last finished object is kind of a fail and I'm pretty sad about it. I really want to love this sweater, but it just came out too big and I don't know where I went wrong. I met gauge, the body fits well, but the sleeves are enormous, like both in width and length. I love, obviously, an oversized sweater, so I was really excited to knit this, but it just came out too big. Maybe I picked the wrong size. We'll find out here together. This is the Hour Pullover by Sari Nordland. I bought the yarn that I used at La Mercerie, which is on Bainbridge Island. Jess, the owner of La Mercerie, also puts on like Flock Fiber Fest. I used their like house yarn, ampersand fibers, and held it double with Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair. The ampersand fibers was the cast on fingering. I used the colorway Oat 01, and the Knitting for Olive I used in Hazel. I love doing this with my knitting journals because then I get like a really good view of my colors, and obviously I'm very red and brown toned, which you will find with everything else. So I used 4 skeins of the ampersand fibers and 6 skeins of the soft silk mohair, which is quite a lot of yarn. So maybe I just knitted the wrong size. I picked a size 3, which is a 46.5 inch bust. The pattern I think is written for 10 inches of positive ease, and actually this is like closer to 30 or 13 inches of positive ease. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe I should have knitted a size 2. I did not add on extra length for the sleeves. I did the ribbing, did the increases, and then joined. So I think the biggest issue with this is that it is knitted from the bottom up, which is not traditionally a way that I like to knit my sweaters, because I really like to customize the fit and try them on as I go, and you can't with something that's bottom up. So here's the finished sweater. It is so pretty, you guys. I love the marling that these 2 yarns did together. I just think it's so pretty and it's so me. There's a little bit of like detailing on the shoulders. Those are the decreases. I want to love it. It just is too big. Even with the sleeves rolled, like the hems rolled, it's still pretty large. So I'm kind of considering frogging it and maybe knitting a size 2 instead and seeing if that is enough, and just being like really diligent about like how big my arms are working out. Maybe trying to like do some math and figure out if I meet length before I make the increase number, so like the stitch gauge is off, if I can still figure out how to join in the round. That seems like a lot of work when I say it out loud. Or like frogging it and using the yarn for something else, because I really, really do love this. And I do love it in a pullover, so I'm kind of stuck on that. Always love opinions. If you have a suggestion, let me know what you think I should do, because this just like isn't gonna work. The body is not too big, it's perfectly oversized, but the sleeves are not gonna cut it. I also thought about like ripping back and just like redoing the ribbing, but every single, like, it's just ribbing and then increases. So I think it would be pretty difficult. Plus it's knitted bottom up. I think it would be pretty tough to like rib it back like you could do with a top down sweater where you're working the sleeves in this direction instead of this one, if that makes sense. So that's where I'm at. And yeah, would love to know your suggestions of patterns I should use this yarn for. It's a fingering weight in a mohair. I do love the idea of a pullover, or should I just reknit this one? Would love opinions. It is 2 p.m. and I'm drinking coffee, and I work tomorrow, and that's probably not a great idea, but just felt like what I should be doing. Okay, let's go over works in progress next. I got cast on crazy in July or August. What month is it? It's September. I got cast on crazy in August, and I saw something, I had yarn for it, and I cast it on. I did not think twice. I did not think at all, really. I just casted everything I wanted to on. So, I have like 4 sweaters on the needlers, but it's fine. I'll start with this one. This is a test knit. I'm trying to keep my project pages open so that I have all of the details while I'm chatting about them. This is a test knit. It is a dropped shoulder top down sweater. Top down, yay. The yarn I'm using, I don't have any full skeins left, but this is the colorway Antique Leather by Red Stag Fiber. It is their Dachas sock base, which is 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, and 10% nylon. And it's just like a really pretty, like orangey brown. And I'm holding it double with Magpie Fibers Plume. This is the Evil Beaver colorway. So this is a lace weight. It is 75% cashmere and 35% silk, which makes sense why this sweater is so dang soft. This is what they look like together. I bought these yarns at Flock with the intention of knitting this test knit in mind. I applied for the test knit and got accepted like a day or two before Flock. And I knew I wanted to knit it in kind of a brown color, so I was so happy when I saw these. I thought that they were like meant to be together. So the sweater is called the Clara Sweater, and it's by Charissa Lam. She is CL Knits on Instagram. And I am knitting the size 3. I'm using US 6 or 4mm needles for the body, and then US 4 or 3.5mm for the ribbing, which I think is also what the pattern called for. I did do a gauge swatch because I'm a good little knitter, and I met gauge. Let me show you. Sorry for the crinkle. I have a skein yarn in here. Okay, so here is the sweater. I'm almost done with the body. You'll see the neckline has the cable work. It's so pretty. So the sleeve ribbing and the body ribbing are also going to be this like really pretty cable, and then you'll find that cable works all the way down the body. Ugh. And then it will link up with the bottom ribbing. It's so pretty. So pretty. This yarn is pairing really well together, and it is just like the most soft, squishy, drapey yarn I think I've ever worked with. I do think it's the cashmere now that I know that that's in there. It's so beautiful. I have ran into a few snags. I think that's kind of to be expected with a test knit. I casted this on pretty quickly after the first version of the pattern was sent out, and I knitted it to pattern, and then there was an error with, so you work the back panel, you pick up for the shoulders, you do the front panel, and then you join in the round to knit in the round, and there was an error in the length for the front panel. And so I had knitted it to pattern, so my armholes were huge. Actually, I've only picked up one of the arms and fixed one of the arms, so you can see it here. This is the armhole, and these markers are where I want my armhole to be. So it's quite larger than what the pattern wants it to be. So I like put out in the group chat, I was like, I don't really know what to do. I tried a mattress stitch. It didn't look bad, but there was a little bit of a pucker because of the selvage edge with the cables. So when you mattress stitched it, there was a little bit of a pucker. And someone said, why don't you try short rows? And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. So that's what I did. So you can definitely see them. You can see this kind of V, but then it goes up to the sleeve. It's right in the armpit, so you really can't see it unless I'm going like this. When I tried it on last night, it actually was pretty nice. And that looks a lot better to me than the mattress stitch did, because that pucker was really annoying me. And yeah, my only thing is this normal? This like, it doesn't even look that bad today actually. It's almost like a bubble where you pick up. Is that like normal for a drop sleeve? I'm being told yes, and I'm being told that it blocks out, but when I try it on right now, I don't love it. So I might wet block, like finish a sleeve and wet block it and just kind of see how that plays out. And if I hate it, just rip it back. I think I have until the end of October to finish this test knit. And this, I casted this on August 11th, and I've done all of this, and that's including lots of pauses to figure out what the heck to do with the sleeve. So I really do think that if I had to restart it, I would still finish it in time. But yeah, this is the Clara Sweater by Charissa Lam. It is in test knitting and should be coming out later this fall. And I do highly recommend the pattern. That front panel has been fixed, so that won't be an issue in the final pattern. I think I'm gonna do pullovers first. So that was one. My next pullover is a ranunculus, which is a very popular sweater pattern by Midori Hirose, I think. Her Ravelry is Knit Cafe Midori. I am using this yarn by Hello Stella. It is her wild wool. It is 100% Canadian sheep's wool. It's untreated. It's a single ply in sport weight. This colorway is 23. And it is 113 grams and 430 yards. Here is what it looks like all caked up. Just like a really nice, like, neutral beige. I am knitting a size 3. I cast on, so there's lots of modifications that you can make that are written in the pattern for this pattern. I chose the smaller neckline, and then I'm going to do kind of like the bell sleeve. Let me show you the actual sweater. I have finished the body and I'm almost finished with the first sleeve. This is the yoke. It's so pretty. So as you can see, I have worked a lot of the first sleeve. I think I have 20 rounds to go. I did put a lifeline in. When I first started knitting the sleeve, I wasn't sure if I wanted to make it short sleeve or long sleeve, so I put in a lifeline so that if I ended up wanting to do short sleeve, I would just have to rip it back and do the ribbing. But now that I'm knitting the sleeve, I know I want long sleeves, but I'm not sure. So this is just like all one length. There are no decreases for the sleeve except for when you get to like the cuff. So it's kind of like a balloon sleeve. So I am knitting this one with a balloon sleeve. And then I think when I pick up the second one, I'm going to add increases and make it more like a bell sleeve and see which sleeve I like more. So I'll end up knitting 3 sleeves, but I think it'll be worth it because I really can't decide which sleeve I want to knit. This is a sport weight yarn and I'm using US 8 5mm needles, so it works up really quickly. So it wouldn't be the end of the world to have to knit another sleeve. But who knows, when I finish this one with the balloon sleeve, maybe I'll be like, that's it, that's the one I want. It just like doesn't have as much like positive ease in the sleeve as I think I would want in the finished sweater. So we are going to experiment with that, but I am hoping that this will be off of the needles. Today is September 3rd, I think. I'm hoping this will be off the needles by the end of the month. I just need to figure out what I want to do with the sleeves. Okay, I have one more pullover. The yarn I am using, so I think I should say what pattern I am first. The pattern is the Sunset Sweatshirt by Jessie May, which is a new pattern she released. The yarn that I'm using is a collab between Farmer's Daughters Fibers and Spin Cycle. It's their Spinster's Daughter Worsted. The color that I got is Sunny's. I do have a full skein of it here. It's coming up a lot more yellow in this light, but it's really pretty. And I can show you my swatch because I swatched for this too. I met gauge with the US 9 5.5mm needles. I'm knitting a size 2, which is a size small, which is smaller than I usually do. So we'll see how it fits. I haven't been writing down how much, what that finished bust is for the size, but I should write that down in this journal so that I know. Something to add for later, don't forget. Okay, so this is also a top down, I think dropped shoulder pattern. You work the back, pick up the shoulders, work the front, and then work the body. I have worked the front and back panels, and I am now joined in the round to knit the body. Here's what I have. I picked up the neckline a couple of days ago and knitted that when I ran out of yarn right here. I just really like trying sweaters on as I go, and I find that it's the best way to figure out the length if it's completely finished at the top. Adding the neckline changes the way it fits, so I wanted to have that done. And then I'll pick up for sleeves. I've done maybe an inch of the body. But it's a very, very fast knit. Again, it's worsted weight yarn. I'm knitting it on a 5.5mm, so it is flying by. I do love the construction of it. I will say the fabric knitted up is not super drapey. It's quite dense, but I'm hoping that a block will loosen it up a little bit. And if not, apparently I'm not afraid to frog anything, so there's that. I thought about going up a needle size, but I meant gauge, and I didn't want it to be a loose gauge. I really like the way that the pattern's worked out, so I am trusting the process. I have tried it on and it fits great. So we're just gonna keep on keeping on with that one. Where's my bag? Okay, I have 3 more whips to share. Okay, this last one is a cardigan. If you follow me on Instagram, you have seen this cardigan several times. I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. The pattern is the Agnete cardigan by Petite Knits, and I'm using Woolberry Fiberco yarn again to knit this pattern. I am using their berry sock, which is 80% superwash BFL and 20% nylon, held double with their berry suri, which is 65% suri alpaca and 35% silk. Both are in the colorway flannel. I might have skeins of them in here. Let me hide this from you while I check it out. I do. So these are the full skeins. Again, that's the flannel colorway, which is just this beautiful red, bright red. These are coming up really well. I will say it's more of a cool toned red than a warm toned red, if that makes sense. I freaking love it. I swatched for this too. Here's my swatch. So the Agnete cardigan is a brioche stitch cardigan. This is my first experience with brioche, and it's actually going really well. I'm enjoying it, and I think that it works up very beautifully and quite quickly. So a fingering weight and a mohair held double, and I'm knitting it on 3mm needles. With the brioche stitch, I do think it's a more open gauge than you would traditionally get with a 3mm. Here is my cardigan so far. I'm so close to finishing the body, you guys. It's so pretty! So this pattern was a lot of firsts for me. You start with the double knit neckline. I had never done double knitting before. So that was new. So you do the double knit neckline, and then you pick up stitches for the back panel, and then you work the shoulders and eventually join in the round. And this is how long the body is. I have officially finished the body. I just need to do the ribbing. I have 3 buttonholes, and after the ribbing I'll be on to sleeves. I'm really hoping to start the ribbing tonight. I've been pretty distracted lately, so I have not been knitting this because I know that there's, like, when I have to start something new on a project, I have to be like fully focused. So going from like the like super repetitive brioche stitch to doing ribbing, I think there's like an increase round before I start the ribbing. I just like need to like sit down and actually do it, and then I know the ribbing will fly. But I think that when I knit the ribbing, we put these button band stitches on hold and then work the button band and attach it to the ribbing individually, which I'm not super stoked about. But we're gonna trust the process as we do. So yes, this is the Agnete cardigan. I am so excited to finish this, and I just like don't see myself taking it off like a single time once it's finished. It's so like soft and squishy, and this, I'm so glad I went with this bright red. It's like, I'm a very neutral person, but a pop of red is like for me. So I'm really glad I went with this color because I can wear it with like literally everything. And then I'm like, with my like high top red Vans, yes please, I will be wearing this a lot this fall because I will finish it. I feel like my goal should be to finish it by my birthday. My birthday is in early November, and that gives me 2 full months to like finish the body and work the 2 sleeves. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot of work, but it's brioche, so it is. And I feel like that's a realistic goal. We're putting that into the universe. Okay, my last sweater project is not for me. It is a baby sweater. It is the, hang on, let me take the sticky note out. It's the Daisy cardigan by Knitting for Olive. I am, again, knitting it in Woolberry Fiber Co. I'm knitting it in their berry sock and berry mohair, held double in the colorway Rhubarb Pie. I'm knitting the size 2, which is size 1.5 years, and I am knitting it for a friend of mine. Her baby is turning 1 in October. So I thought it would be really fun to knit this up. I'm using, I never gauge swatch for baby knits, and maybe that's wrong, but I'm like, they're gonna grow into it, so it'll fit them at some point. So like, why gauge swatch? That's the way I think. So I'm using US 4 3.5mm needles for the ribbing and US 7 4.5mm needles for the main body. And here is what I have so far. I'm doing this a little bit untraditionally. These needles are really small. I should have put them on something else. Let me see if I can get this to come around a little bit better. Probably not, but okay, it's a cardigan. I don't have a ton worked up, but I do love this color and the mohair. It's really pretty. She's not a sensitive girl, so I think that she'll be fine with the mohair. The pattern has it has these like beautiful daisy, like embroidered motifs throughout the cardigan, and the pattern writes it so that you like kind of knit the center of the flower into the cardigan while you're knitting. And I've chosen not to do that. Instead, I'm placing stitch markers in all the spots where the pattern suggests placing a daisy. I've done embroidery before, so I am just going to like embroider the daisies on after. Just using like French knots for the center instead of the like knitted. It almost looked like a bauble, like a knitted bauble. I just really didn't want to have to change my yarn because you would have to like use a yellow yarn for the center. So you're like switching yarn colors for one stitch for one row, and then the next row you're knitting your bauble in that yellow for one stitch. And I just absolutely cannot be bothered to do that. So this is the daisy cardigan. It will have daisies one day. Oh my gosh, I have one whip left. That's it. And it's a pair of socks, and it's a half finished object. First of all, this bag I got at Flock. I haven't been showing any of my project bags, but most of them are by that crafty little fox. She, I believe, is in Puyallup, Washington. So I have like several of her bags, and I love them very much. I saw a post by Summerly Knits, and she started a color work cuff club. So it's a one-time purchase. I think when I got it, it was $12, and then every month for a full year, she sends a new like color work chart. With the first month was August, and with that month we got a like recipe for a just like vanilla sock for like the cuff, the leg, the heel, the foot, and the toe. And then it says, you know, like on the leg portion, like work the color chart. You go to the color chart for the month, you work it up, and it's so fun. So I signed up a little late, and I started my socks a little late, so I'm only done with the first one for August, and I'm dying to knit the second one. I can then get to September, but I'm using some colors that I got at Flock. The main color is this yarn that I got from Red Door Fiber Studio. The colorway is Mojo Doja Casa House. Please hold. Yeah, Mojo Dojo Casa House, which I'm sure is some sort of like TV or movie reference, but I do not watch television at all, except for football. So I have no idea what the reference is, but I freaking love a nice moody brown. And then I also got a mini set from her. I don't remember what the mini set was called, but I also got it when I was at Flock. And it's these 4 colors. So a navy, a mustard, a red, and a teal. I'm gonna hold everything up together. So, let's see. These are the colors that I'm working. Could they be more fall? Not even if I tried. Also, like, these really match my sweater whips. I would just like to point that out. The mustard, the red, the brown, it's gonna work. So here's my first finished sock. It's so fun. The color work is so fun. She has you size up for the color work rounds, which I think is really nice. I am a pretty tight knitter, and so I use 2.25 needles for the rest of the sock, but I think sizing up to, I think it's a 2.75 for the color work itself was really helpful. You want to see my floats? I know you do. I'm pretty proud. I feel like they're pretty even. And I don't do a lot of color work, so my intent with joining this color work club was to dabble in more color work and get a little bit more comfortable. I literally just finished this toe in the gym this morning, so I haven't cast on the second one, but immediately after filming this, I'm gonna cast it on, because if I don't, then I'm gonna get second sock syndrome. That's how my brain works. But yeah, I love these socks, and I can't wait to wear them all fall. While I'm here, I am going to show you the stitch marker that I was using, but I'm no longer using because I finished the sock. It's from Hello Lavender. Oh, cover my face. It's a little sheep. So I also got that at Flock. So these are my Flock socks, and I think they're super fun. And I'm excited for the September sock. She just revealed, actually, the September Colorwork Cuff Club sock chart, and I'm very excited. In fact, I'll show you the yarn I'm gonna use. Why not? So, if I can figure out how to be a real blogger or vlogger or podcaster and put a picture of the September colorwork chart here, I will do that. If there's nothing here, know that I tried. but I'm not tech savvy and this is my first time, okay? I plan to use, I'm still kind of going back and forth. I either want to make like a very Halloween-y color work interpretation of these socks or a very like Baltimore Ravens interpretation. It's still up in the air. Either way, my main color is black. This is a yarn I got from the Witch's Brew. I think I found it on Etsy. This is the colorway My Soul. It's a fingering weight. It's 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. I got a few skeins of yarn. I'm pretty sure I got it on Etsy from this yarn dyer a few years ago, wanting to make a bunch of like color work Halloween socks, and then just like absolutely stopped knitting. So I still have this. So this is gonna be my main color. And then I'm either gonna make it super Halloween-y and use these two as my contrasting colors, or I'm gonna make it super Ravens and have the purple with white being my third contrasting color. So we'll see what happens. These yarns I just got at the little yarn shop by me. Perennial? Is that right? So yeah. My camera battery is gonna die, but real quick I wanted to show you I also signed up for a yarn club by Freckled Whimsy. It is a Halloween yarn club, like mystery sock set. How could I not? So this is the first one that I've gotten. I believe this is month 5, but they ran out of spots, so I just joined. And they're so fun and so colorful, and that's not very me, so I'm really excited to work these up. And I think that that's all that I have to share today. I am not putting pressure on myself, but my intention is to do a couple podcasts a month and then some like filler videos. I do really want to do a like fall knitting plans video, either next week or the week after that. And then we'll see. I also am traveling a lot in the fall, so there may be some like vlog things. I'm going to Banff in Canada and then Baltimore. So there may be some vlog things when I check out little yarn shops in those places, but we'll see what happens. In true beginner podcaster vibes, my camera died. So I'm not really sure where I was. Sorry if the location is a little different. I think I was signing off. But I wanted to show you while I was waiting for my camera to charge, I did cast on the 2nd August Colorwork Club sock. I am a woman of my word and I'm not getting second sock syndrome. But yes, I again am putting very little pressure on myself to come on here and do podcasts, but I do hope to do them pretty regularly. I would love to do every like 2 or 3 weeks posting a formal podcast like this, with some like filler videos in between. If you enjoyed this, thanks for hanging out, and I hope that you will chat with me in the comments. Also, my DMs on Instagram are always open. I am not a very popular person, so I read all of my messages, and I would love to just chat and get to know people in the knitting community. I think that's one of the best parts about this community, and I would love to make friends and knit with people and like do knit-alongs and like buddy knits, and please be my friend. So pathetic. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you will stick around and chat with me, and I will see you in the next video. Happy knitting.